Well, it ain't a cocaine movie unless you add the 80s in there.
In the 70s.
And the 70s. So we just got out of American Made. Definitely different from our usual film going fare. So I forget what motivated us to come to this one again. Just the trailer.
Well, I have my reasons, but
Oh, you have your reasons, yeah.
No, actually, I just realized there is a theme so far to the two reviews I happen to have been on. So if you can figure out the connection,
there is a connecting factor between,
which I won't go into. But,
but so, that was one definite motivating factor. Another one is the thing that made me want to go see it was Tom Cruise collaborating with his with Doug Liman, who many will remember worked together on Edge of Tomorrow, which absolutely outstanding movie. And this was not a normal Tom Cruise role for him.
Well, I mean, when I saw the trailer, I thought this is Tom Cruise not being Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like Collateral and Interview with the Vampire, where he's actually playing a character.
Yeah, I mean that being said, though, his grin got a lot of screen time on this one. He
actually make a joke about. There's something in it where they make kind of a joke at the expense of his smile.
Yeah,
it was kind of awesome because they kept kind of bringing it up a few times.
Dude got a winning smile, and then it fit right for this character.
Yeah.
It was kind of interesting. This is a very clueless. In the beginning, he's kind of a clueless character. He kind of fumbles through all this.
Yeah.
All the way through it, but it was nice that he didn't stay fumbly consistently.
He also was not perfect. Like, you always have those characters that have an extremely great skill. They're the best pilot ever, and they can do all these things. It's like, no, he really kind of just stumbles through, and everyone else is pulling the strings, and he's just kind of running the wave because there's really no other option.
Tom Cruise has played no pun intended, but he's played those maverick characters all the time who do these things because he's the best there is. No, in this case, he's just a good pilot. He's just bored, and so he's just going to do a lot of stupid stuff just because he wants to.
It's not even that he wants to. It's very powerful people are standing in front of him saying, no, you're going to do this, and he's like, okay.
Okay.
And it just snowballs.
Yeah, the snowball effect is very much present and accounted for, and snow definitely falls in more ways than one. Totally.
Actually, it was really funny.
It kind of does.
You get some imagery in this movie that is just ridiculous imagery. Like, I can't believe I'm watching this. One thing I pointed out was that I felt like I was watching a Soderbergh film where when they're explaining certain things, they actually show it to you on a map or diagrams so that you can visually understand what they're talking about. Because they even, at one point, he's explaining something, he goes, let me explain this better, and then they do all this art to tell you exactly what he means. Which I was like, thank you, because hell no, I just figured that one out. And
I think it was great that to have a character, most of the time whenever we get these kind of info dumps, they usually come from CIA types who, of course, throw the politics into the mix. Mm-hmm. This is a guy is clearly not totally 100% educated on those things. He just tells it like he encounters it.
It's also a bonus if you know 80s politics or things that happened in the 80s that maybe involved the government, especially the president.
It was special.
There was things that come up, and even I remembered it. I mean, I was very young in the 80s, but I do remember some of these things going, hey, wait a minute, I didn't expect it to be, I thought it would be funny, but it was really funny.
Yeah, most of the time you think they're just putting in the humor to bait people into this, and most movies involving drug cartels and government subterfuge and all that stuff, you'd expect all that to immediately go south and go dramatic. And, oh, by the way, it does go south, as you'd expect in a story like this, but this one takes it in a nice way to kind of make it just, we know that's where it's going to end up, but at least we're having fun on the way in. So his downfall comes about like it does in these movies, but it was nice to see that it didn't come about because of his own ineptitude. I think there's like one time where his own personal life got in the way, but they did a nice way to resolve it that wasn't about him screwing up.
No, it wasn't ever him screwing up. It was people around him or people above him. The route it takes, and they also do one thing, and I like, is that when you have a lot of characters in a story, you find out what happens to everybody. Not just the main character. You do know what happens to them, but like everyone, and it's some of the stuff's just like, we don't know what happened to him. Like, that's...
Even one of his pilots, who we really don't get much time to get to know, they still take the time to tell us what happened to him.
Well, at least, yeah.
Well, at least one of the pilots.
Well, at least one of them, but...
But I find it funny that the movie kind of beats you to the punch as far as like going, oh yeah, these are my extra pilots. That guy I don't know really much about.
Yeah, I think... yeah, what the hell was that? That was funny.
So, I guess you could forgive a familiar story progression because the way they do it in this one and the way it's written make it fun to watch. I mean, this is like, I think
well, and also, actually, interesting thing I just saw is that the villains, which I don't even call them villains, but the government characters, they're not actually evil or like actually truly manipulative. It's like, no, they're just doing their job. They're doing what they think they're supposed to do. And
bureaucrats.
They're bureaucratic. They're like, oh no, this is what we're going to do because this will help us. And maybe it's just the stupidest idea ever, but they actually believe what they're doing, and they're just using him because they can. But it's never sinister. It's never malicious. It's never, we're going to ruin your life on purpose. You know, it's not stereotypical stuff like that a lot of films like to make the government purely evil and they know what they're doing, and no, they really had no clue what they were doing either.
There's a touch of, for those who know, there's a touch of burn after reading in this as well, where it's like the government are just doing their thing just like everyone else is. Mm-hmm. Everyone is just doing what they're just staying true to themselves. There's not a single character in this movie that makes you feel like they're betraying their principles. Apart from just familiar story progression, I can't think of any other cons of this movie. Tom Cruise this is his movie. All the other actors really shine in it alongside him, but it keeps the focus where it belongs, on Tom Cruise, and he owns every single minute. But the guy's been doing this long enough to carry a movie.
But he also doesn't like overshadow or steal it from anyone else. Like, other people still get their time. It's not the Tom Cruise show. It's just naturally he is the main character. Mm-hmm. So you follow him. But I never felt like it was gratuitous on him. Yeah.
And to the credit of whoever cast this movie, he was surrounded by a lot of actors. We were, on the way home, we were looking through IMDb for a lot of these actors and actresses. And they're people we've seen in multiple stuff beforehand. The actor who played Banshee in First Class plays this deadbeat character. I think he's the only character you wanted to punch, but that's what the film's intention was.
I really wanted to punch him. He was such a
But point is, I was like, oh my god, I know him. I just only saw him fleetingly in this other movie. But it was kind of cool that they went with, instead of just going full star power all the way through. So
no, they went with character actors more than names.
In closing, American Made, we'll have to wait and see. The year's almost over, so this may make my top 10 this year. So we shall see. But in the meantime, I'm going to give it a Narcotic Casserole rating of 4. And that's how I do a half. How else can you do it? Well, I'm still trying to figure out how to do a half. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think Tom Cruise has done better, or do you think there is no way he could do better than this? Leave it in the comments below. For more addictive content on Narcotic Casserole, simply like, share, subscribe, follow us on Facebook, follow us on the Twitter, and click and thou shalt be served. It's interesting how his downfall didn't even... Our cat is sampling what Tom Cruise has been dealing.
She is, really. I don't know if they're actually going to hear that.
I don't know.
She turns into Gollum, so she makes Gollum sounds. It's really cute.
I completely lost my place now.